my name is Liz and today I'd like to show you how to make this 3 hearts in 1 opal pendant. I will be showing this tutorial in 3 parts. Part 1, I'll be showing how to make the feature setting, which is the opal. This video being part 2, I will be showing how to make the heart bail with the white sapphire. In part 3, I'll be showing how to make the amethyst heart. So please come and join me as I show how I wire wrap my 3 hearts in 1 opal pendant. And once we pull everything in together later on, that is still gonna get adjusted and things will still move. And the front now, I'm gonna push that in as well to hug the stone. Okay, so you got the back and the front. So after taking the masking tape off, I'm going to take my wire from one side, pull it on the side, the middle wire, and also the opposite side of that, and just push it on the side. So I'm going to be leaving them like that. Take the 2 wires on the front and the 2 on the side, I'll split it up. So I'll take one side here and one side there. And what I'm going to do now is wrap up the 2 wires in the center. So I'll take the center of my silver wire and I'm just going to wrap this up here on the 2 front wires. And so now I'm gonna do a couple of wraps. So now I'll take that one on this side and then that one there, and I'm gonna push this down and tighten it again, and then take this to the back and that one to the back as well. And this one I'll wrap this up on the side here, so I'll just push that on the side like so, and I'm gonna wrap this up, push that along just to tighten it. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 5 on the side, and this one as well, 5, and tuck that in, turn over to the back, tuck that in. So wire wrapping is very fiddly, but I find it relaxing. So I'm going to go back to the center 2 wires, and we're going to split them up. And here, and I'm just going to wrap this up again. So I got 1, 2, 3, so I'm going to do 3. 1, 2, 3, and I'll take this. I just make sure that they're all center. And then this one, I'm going to go over to the front. So again, I'm going to do 3. 1. Oops. Okay, my wire broke, but it doesn't matter. So what I'm going to do is, I'm just undoing it. If your wire breaks, it breaks. And there's always solution. Just want to leave 2 wraps there because I want this one at the back so it's hidden. And so now if we, or I, well it's actually we because you're doing it with me, still too much, so cut off. There you go. Make it a bit closer so you can see. Okay, we tuck that in, we push that in, and so now the wire that broke off, we are not going to have a heart attack over that. We are now going to insert this through. I'm just gonna hold it for now here like that because we can secure that later on, and I'm gonna do another wrap. So 1, let's see how many I've got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, that's too much, so just 2. So now from the side that looks like it came from the same wire, and this one we can secure that later on. So we go back to this one and wrap this up. 1, 2, 3. Pushing it in. So now I've got 3, and I can still see a little bit of the gold wire there. And so now that one is 3 and 3. That one we can adjust that later on, but we might as well adjust it now because that's going down, of course. Okay, right level, and down. That one now we have to push this in, and that one has to get pushed down in. And if she doesn't want to get pushed down, we push it up. doesn't make any difference. And then we'll bring that one along as well. And so now I'm going to go on this side and wrap up 5 times again. So 1, 5. Pushing everything in. And this one as well. So we do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And tuck it all in. So there you go. So that's about leveling off. And so now I'm gonna put these two together, bend it forward. So I'm gonna put that one here and then that one there. And so now this one, I'm gonna move it a bit closer because you will see in a minute what I'm trying to do. So I'm gonna crisscross that. So now that they're level, so that one goes there, that one goes there, and I'm gonna crisscross them. You see? So going over to the other side. Okay, this one first, go down. One, it's an over and under thing, so that way you're creating just a crisscross effect. Look at that one there, but pull it tight. And then I'm going to continue just crisscrossing this, making sure that I tuck in. Also maintaining the distance or the gap between the two wires there. So that's what it should look like. And then now I'm going to push this in just to make them stacked up better. So now I'm nearly at the end of my wire, and I've done about 2.5 centimeters. So now this will form as the bail, and with this one what I want to do is insert a stone on the gap there. And for me to insert a stone there, what I want to do is put another piece of 24 gauge, about 30 centimeters, and I'm going to insert this, making sure that it comes out where I want it to be. So now this one, I'm just going to leave that there, just going to put it up and straighten it up because that's going to cut me. And so I've got a gap on both sides there, and I'm going to insert it. So see if ups, perfect, there you go, beautiful. So now that was the center. I just pulled the two ends of the wire with a little bit, but it's not really that critical, it doesn't matter because we're going to have enough leftover wire. So what I want to do with this one now is, I've got a piece of sapphire. It looks like a clear stone. That is actually a sapphire. If you turn it on one side, it looks like it's got blue or baby blue, and on the other side it's showing a different color. So there's a bit of yellow in the corner here as well. So anyway, so that's a nice light colored sapphire. I just want to put this, so this is about 3 millimeters, and it just fits nicely into the gap. If I push that in, it is going to fall through on the back. So just to make sure that it doesn't fall off, we are going to use this one, the tail end of the wire that broke off. I'm going to secure this first up, so which means I have to find a spot. So with this kind of wire wrapping, it's up to you what design you want to do. And basically you are dictated by, of course, the stone that you pick, and in this case the stone will be overpowering everything else. Also, if I put a silver wire on the edge of this, like if I started with a silver wire to start off with, the stone will dull up a little bit. That's just my opinion. So I prefer using the gold filled wire just to tone it down just a little bit, so that way you're not looking at the wire but you're more concentrating on the stone. So now I'm going to continue with this and use that part, or use this tail end. So I'm going to insert this back inside because there's a little gap there, but now I got to be careful that I don't break it. So I'm just easing it slowly, and I am using my mast clamp to pull it through. I'm pulling it. what I want to do now is wrap this up to secure it first, and this is going to be very fiddly, so we just insert that there, easing it through. Now it's coming out on the back, and I can see kinking, so it's going to break. It is going to break. So okay, I'm just going to do brutal tactic now. If it breaks, it breaks, but if it doesn't, then I'm going to be happy. Okay, beautiful. Now, so I'm able to wrap up through there. So now I need to feed it through on the opposite side, so that way I've got 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3 4. So that's what I'm hoping anyway, provided it doesn't break. Again, that kinking, I'm really worried about that kinking, but it broke, so we are just going to feed this through and continue with the, so now it's just securing it. So now I'm going to feed it through there, pull it up from the top, okay, drag it down and looping it up. Okay, I'm going off camera again and tucking it in, and it just sat nicely in the gap there, so which is good. So now we'll continue with this one. So since I can't use that, I am just gonna squash these two together, so there's still a gap, and I'm gonna squash gently, and then I'll just push this in a bit more, because you can see that's all, there's a gap there lifting up. So we'll squash it in or push it in. Okay, so now I need to tidy things up. So just push that in, just tidying up, or else it's gonna catch up with me. And then this one, I'm just gonna do a little bend, put the stone in and see how it sits. Okay, lift it up. Okay, good. She went in. So beautiful. We'll take the stone out, and I'm gonna get a tiny piece of 24 gauge wire, only about 5 centimeters. So this is a fine half hard again, and I am going to insert this through the back just so our stone will have somewhere to sit. Again, I'm gonna poke my pin through there, creating a hole, and hopefully it will just go straight through the other side. Trying to turn my wire around to find an angle we're in. It would hook up, but if it doesn't, well, we're gonna do it the hard way. And easing it. Ah! I had it! And then now it's gone. Okay, go back in there. And now slowly, so I was trying to rush it and I pulled too hard. And better yet, I'm gonna put a clamp on the other end so that way it doesn't go through. And I'm gonna put another clamp and pull this gently, helping it along. There you go. Beautiful. I've got my wire through, and since I've got gaps here, so now this one I'm gonna wrap this up. Okay, and I'm filling up the gap, so you got one, and I'm gonna leave that there. I'm gonna go on the other side and wrap this up, putting it through here, going back up to the top, because that's where we're gonna put our stone. And I'm just flicking this back, that way you can see. This is so difficult because I'm trying to focus everything in the camera so you can see it, but sometimes my hand wants to go up to my face to work closely with it, but this I'm letting my eyes go to the table just so you can see. So now I'm just crossing them together, therefore making the hole a little bit smaller, so that way when I put the stone in, it would not slip through. Okay, so now I'll just close this just so you can see. The stone will sit there much better, and if I go through the back, yep, there's no chance that's gonna pop out from there. And so now what I'm gonna do is take my stone off first up, and this wires here, I might as well use this to wrap this around the gold wire that we have sticking up here. And I'm just gonna push that in. And I'm gonna do the same on the other side. So now I've wrapped up about 5 wraps around that. So now I'm just gonna flick this back, and using a file, because that way it wouldn't slip and it will have a grip. So I'm just rounding it up, so I'm pushing that in there like that, therefore making a loop or something to go over the top of the stone. And I'm pressing this down, and that wire there just wants to come away, so I'm just gonna press that in. And so I'll just set my stone. See, that just sits beautifully. And so now I'm gonna do one side first. I'm gonna push it on the side to go around, and I will do the same on the other side to go crisscross. So I just want to find out the points where they're gonna meet. Okay, so now I've crisscrossed it, and then so that's roughly the point where they're gonna sit. So if I put this down, burnish up, I just press the wires on the side, so that would have the stone much better, and that is not going to fall off at all, even though we haven't secured anything yet. So it's just sitting on top of it, and you can see the pavilion or the point of the stone at the end sticking out there, but it's flush with the wire, or it's tucked in under or below the wire. Now with this one, now what I want to do is, so I'll do the same thing as in the front here. So what I'm going to do is just bend this up. Let's go with the bottom first. Just take that there and bend it, and I'll take this one here and bend it. And so now those 2 wires would meet up, and what I'm going to do is secure that. So this wire here that we put through, so that's the reason why I put this through, is because I want to fill that up to go under. So I want to leave a little bit of gold showing here. So what I'm going to do is take this one side of it, and the other one the other side. So I just crisscross them, and I'm gonna twist them up just once, or a couple of times actually would be better, as long as it doesn't go over my stone that way. So I don't want to block anything there. I'm gonna take them over on the side again. There's still a gap there, so I'm gonna fill up the gap and then insert it through the side there, because even with the stone there, there's still plenty of room to maneuver. So feed it through, just helping it along and making sure that everything's tight. Okay, and into the slot. There you go. And I'll just check at the back. Yep, very good. And I'll do the same on the other side. Put it through there, insert it through the gap, even if I have to lift it up so I can see a gap there. And just ease it along, making sure it sits on the edge there. Pull it. So there you go. And so now I've got the 2 wires on the side here. Therefore, put this one over here and making sure that they are still back on track. Trying to cover the stone, so I don't really like that, but it's adjustment. I'll go back here again. So now I've marked my wire, but it doesn't matter because now we are about to cover that up. So first, I just want to determine where the wire is going to sit. So it just sits there. So now I'm going to do is try and put the 2 wires together, and therefore I need to make a hole right on the edge of my stone, which is about there. Okay, so if I just jiggle it a bit, now you can see from the back So I've got a nice gap there now. So now I'm gonna insert the 2 wires through, but I'm just gonna do it one by one. That one first up, and then the other one, bring them through, but gotta just guide it because I can't afford to have any kinks on the wire now, because I need these wires to do a wrap on the top. And I'm going to, so that one goes down here, so wrap it up as well, and goes on the opposite side. So therefore crisscrossing them, so bringing in the 2 wires together. So now it should look like that with the white sapphire. So now I'm tightening it, and just make sure that that stays tightened. So crisscross this going, so pull that out and crisscross it here, and this other side here I'm gonna crisscross it over to the other side. And so now, so that's what it looks like, and we could still adjust that later on, but for now I'm gonna work on this. And what I'm gonna do is the leftover wire, I'm gonna wrap it up all the way around here. I'm just gonna tuck this in, continue right through the end of my wire. Okay, so either cut it off or tuck that in first. So this one there, and I'll do the same on the other side. So now I finish wrapping up. I'm going to take a round nose pliers and we're going to do a loop, but I'm just going to take halfway and loop this up. Make sure the tail is in the bottom, and I'm going to take a nylon pliers. I'm going to do the same on the other side, but before I do that I'm going to secure this and insert it on to the gap there. Take a flat nose pliers and just bring this around, and then after making a loop I'm just gonna flatten this a little bit, and the hook that I made there, I want to insert that there. So I'm just gonna drag this down going across, I'm gonna press it and we'll make a little loop, put that into, bring it across and then squash it. Do the other side the same, so again halfway, squash it again. I use the flat nose pliers this time, and we are going to turn that over and try and drag it through, hooking it up, and round nose pliers again. Just hook that up, bring that across, just down a little bit, so it sits there like that. I would really want that to have a little bit of a curve like this one, so we're going to make it curve. So now that looks much better, so I'm going to take that and flatten this one first, hook it up to the other side, and we'll just put this down and straighten this up. Round nose pliers again, push it in, off the loop, and just drag it across. Don't need to wrap it up to the hook there, but just taking it across would be good enough to secure that. I'm going to leave that there and press the front down. So So the little hook that's sticking up. Just a little bit of tweaking, and that's it. I'm quite happy with that one now. So I'm going to use a crimp cover. So this is a Goldfield crimp cover. So as you can see, it's got an opening. So what I'm going to do is just clamp it over. I want to cover the wires. See, there's 2 wires there. So that wire and that other one there. I'm going to take a bent pliers and squeeze the inside of it. Check it if it's moving, and it's not, so I'll just pull this out here more. That way I can squeeze it a little bit better. And on the other side. And that is never going to come off at all. So I'm going to close this back. There you go. So I think that looks much better. But the bail, what I want to do with the bail is bend it, and I'll put a little pen. Still have a couple of wires sticking out here, so now I'll just bend the back 2 wires. It's a big enough hole to put a necklace, and I'm still gonna squash that, but for now this one I'm gonna separate the 2 wires. As the leftover silver wire, we're going to use it to secure or tie the bail to the front. So I'm just going to adjust this a little bit more, bending it, and then that way I can just push the bail in, squash it, making the hole a little bit smaller, and take around nylon pliers just a little bit more. There you go. So that way it'll be flat from the back of the stone when it sits, so it will sit much better. So now the wire from the back I'm gonna insert through the front. So I'm just gonna find a hole. So those loops here is where I'm gonna insert those wires through. And pull it out, and also the other side I'll do the same. I'll insert it through the hole or the swirl that I made there, so everything's nice and tight. And so now, coming from the left side, I'm going to the right side, inserting it, crisscrossing the 2. So that one, pulling it, and the other side I'll do the same. I don't have to put it through the same hole, so I'll just put it through any gaps that it'll go into. And so now I'm going to secure this onto the gold wire by making a couple more loops. Tight, and I'll do the same on the other side. And so now I want to bring these 2 wires through the front here, filling up this part here as well, and also hooking it up to there. But I want to finish off these 2 wires, and one of the wires longer, so I could just wrap it up and leave it and see where it takes me, or I could cut it off. So I'll do first the other one, and this is really difficult because now it's short. Just do it slowly, tucking everything in, and if there's a gap there, it doesn't matter. If they're not tightly bound, it's okay. So now I'm going to bring this over and also covering the sides, and that is the purpose of that. But first I'm going to loop it up. Just making a couple of swirls, and I'm taking this over through there. And fishing it out. So giving you a nice swirl on the side. In there. Now that is looking nicely. So I'll do the same on the opposite side. Also curling it up. Inserting it through there. And fishing it out again. Pulling it. And we'll make more swirls. Pushing it in and making it tuck into underneath, but I need to flick it just to help it along. Drag it across, and now she's tucked in. And so now that's created quite some nice swirling, and it also gives a bit of detail on our bail. So now even the bail alone is pretty. This video being part 3, I'll be showing how to make the Amethyst Heart. But we are not going to stop here, we're going to continue. So far that's what my pendant looks like. Now I'm going to work in the bottom. And in the bottom here, what I want to do is put an amethyst or a heart-shaped amethyst.